Now, the unrest in Turkey has claimed a second life. Police, already facing widespread criticism for using excessive force, are being accused of being behind the killing of a 22-year-old man. RT's Irina Galushko, who's in Istanbul, has the latest details on this.
The man did die after sustaining a head wound during the night's protest in the south of Turkey, in the city of Antakya. Now, some of the protesters are saying the shot came apparently from a police car. However, this information, we have to stress this, hasn't been confirmed yet. So we have to wait and see for at least somewhat official results whether or not this indeed was a case of severe police brutality. Earlier on Sunday, there was a young man who also died after a car slammed into a crowd of protesters. He also died from his injuries. So far, these are two confirmed deaths, but the people on the street that we have been speaking to, they're saying that they have personally seen people who were killed, and they've seen at least 4 or 5 people who are dead. More than 1,600 people have already been injured and more than 1,000 arrested. There's more and more people coming out on Taksim Square, going to Gezi Park just in Istanbul alone. The number is increasing, and most of them are really peaceful protesters. And we have talked to one of the Young Lawyers Association representative who explained to us why people continue to flock the streets in Turkey, voicing their protest of the current government.
We have a lot of groups, not only lawyers. Here are some doctors. It is the organization of the community, of the nation. They are asking a government to resign. They become a union here due to the illegal acts of the government.
At the same time, Prime Minister Erdogan is actually out of the country. He's on a trip to Morocco, and speaking on Monday, he said that the situation in the country, in Turkey, is calm. He has also disregarded the words of the Turkish President Gül, who called off to end police brutality and is actually meeting with the representatives of the top opposition parties in Turkey in order to try and solve the situation peacefully. However, Prime Minister Erdogan has said that he doesn't understand what the president says when he said that the protesters' message has been heard. Members of the public sector are also going out and protest today, so this just adds to the magnitude of protests that we are seeing. So really, the protest movement in Turkey does look like it's only gaining momentum.
RT's Irina Galushko right there. She's in Istanbul, closely watching the events, not just in the city, but across the country. You can follow her Twitter feed for the latest updates and, of course, the most recent developments as well. Human rights groups, though, taking the time to hit out at the security forces in Turkey for their brutal response to the protests. RT's Igor Piskunov looks at the accusations, though it's only fair to warn you that you might find some of the images in his forthcoming report disturbing.
Water cannons, tear gas and rubber bullets. What started as an environmental protest provoked a full-scale show of force from the police. Footage shows disoriented protesters slammed into the pavement by powerful water cannons, and often the water's yellow because police are deliberately mixing in pepper spray. People are down on the ground trying to return to their senses. Here, a young woman appears to be having a seizure, and here, the police in action.
All the people try to resist against the police violence. They never just act violently. They don't use any weapons, but the police attacks severely, using excessive force. I wouldn't call it excessive force. It amounts to torture, actually.
Similar footage is coming from around 40 cities and towns across Turkey. There are claims the police are deliberately pumping tear gas into residential homes. These are among the most violent protests Turkey's seen in decades. Each day, more people are wondering whether the government remembers Turkey is a democratic republic.
I also tasted the tear gas and the water cannon because I was in the front, and for a moment we thought that we're gonna die, and we did nothing to deserve that.
This protest is not only for Taksim Gezi Park, this is the whole policy of government. We are under pressure for about 10 years.
But according to Prime Minister Erdogan, the government is the one being oppressed. He slammed the protest as anti-democratic and illegitimate, accusing those on the streets of being extremists organized by outside forces. But protests on this scale take on a legitimacy of their own, and human rights organizations are already severely criticizing the government's actions. Igor Piskunov, RT.